Welcome into another rendition of the Cover 3 podcast. My name is Sterling Bennett. Alongside me is Aaron from 49ers First Takes and Dre from Dre Area Sports. And we have a ton to get into today. The Niners 2026 regular season schedule has dropped. We'll give some predictions and we'll dissect week 1 through 18. We'll also get into some beef between Donte, Whitner, and Ji'Ayir Brown. Should the San Francisco 49ers sign Joey Bosa? The future of Mac Jones being past 2026? Dun, dun, dun. So much to get into in today's show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all 3 channels. And Dre, Aaron, how you doing on a Friday, May 15th, schedule release day being last night?
Tired. I'm very, very tired, but I'm glad the week's over with because I'm tired.
It's the weekend.
But, you know, I saw the schedule release, and, you know, obviously I'll share my thoughts on it pretty soon, but I think a lot of matchups favor San Francisco, especially early on. This could be a team that, you know, if they stay healthy, they could do a lot of things, but they're also, this is a schedule that if they run into a lot of injuries, they might go the way of like the Indianapolis Colts of 2025, where they start out nice and hot, and then they just fall off the map because their schedule gets pretty difficult. But I have my predictions, and a lot of those predictions are based on will they be healthy or will they not be healthy? And that's a big question because they have the most traveling miles of any team in the league. But I think when you factor in Mexico and Australia, it's pretty easy to say that they have the most miles they're going to be traveling. But overall, excited to be here. I can't wait to talk about the schedule.
Aaron?
Yeah, same with, I'm going to double down on what Dre was saying about injuries. It's kind of like every time you look at the schedule, you can see like, okay, I could see some favorable matchups that kind of look the Niners' way. And then, you know, you get into the stuff we'll get into with like divisional stuff. But really, it comes down to health. And that seems to be the answer or the question every year is, will the Niners stay healthy? To me, there is going to be the Niners are going to have a chance to either double down on the fact that they're still second or third fiddle coming into this year, or maybe that they're back to reclaim what's rightfully theirs, and that's the top billing in the NFC West. So we'll see, man. This is like the last bit of whatever till training camp, so we have to savor it.
And that's the point there, Aaron, is that you can have maybe the third best roster in the division. You can have a lot of questions surrounding certain position groups like safety and the offensive line and the receiver room, but you can only play who's on your schedule. And right now, San Francisco has 5 primetime games ahead of them. They have one against the Rams in Australia, Thursday Night Football. They have one against the Commanders. They won against the Chargers. Thursday night, Jim Harbaugh play in San Francisco again. They have Juwan Jennings and the Vikings in Mexico. They have Philadelphia in primetime too, whereas the Rams have, 7 primetime games this year, which is just incredible. The NFL has made it so the Rams and Seahawks play each other 2 times in the final 3 weeks of the NFL season, where San Francisco, albeit has a tough schedule ahead of them, as most teams do. I'll bring it up here so everybody can see. It's not like San Francisco also can't run the gauntlet and come out maybe being one of the better teams in the NFC West as a whole. So looking at the schedule in front of us, hopefully this all works itself out. I'll zoom in here on the screen so we can see it. Let's just kind of go through each game. What do we think? What do we like? What do we dislike about it? And let's start off with the very top pre-bye week, weeks 1 through 7. This being courtesy of Raj from RSF Niners, one of the friends of the program. And let's look at week 1. Niners, Rams in Australia, the land down under. Week 1, can the Niners fly 15
I just dropped Willie Mays.
Let's hope the Niners don't drop the ball in Australia week 1. Massive game to start the season off. It's a NFC West division rival game. It's a game the Rams advocated for because they were so terrified of the Niner faithful taking over SoFi Stadium, a.k.a. Levi South, in 2026. But We talked about this a little bit ago, but what do you guys make of the week 1 matchup against the Rams? Do you like playing LA in Australia? And are you a bit concerned, though, about the travel getting to and from Australia to begin the season? Dre, what do you think?
I'm taking Niners in this game because, look, this is the game. It doesn't matter where it's at. It could be in Germany. It can be in China. It could be in Tokyo. Wherever this game is going to be at, the team will be prepared, well prepared for this game. And to me, it's kind of like, who's going to show up to the game? Like, what mental mindset are you going to have showing up to a game that you physically and mentally prepared for a number of weeks? So I think this game, Niners take this game in Australia. And I think that this is a game where you got to have it because you got Miami, Arizona. You have some winnable games coming up, but this is one that you want to lock in and is that first game of the season. I'm taking Niners in this game all the way.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm taking Niners in this game too. I have it down on my little sheet here, my little cheat
You liar!
sheet. I just think that the best time to get a team like the Rams is right in the beginning of the season before they get hot, right? Nobody plays in the preseason. Everybody's going to be a little rusty. So I feel like if the Niners can get them at any point in the season, they'll be the most healthiest too, right? You would think, hopefully.
I hope so.
Coming into week 1. So they're going to have all their weapons and everybody's healthy, hopefully. So, and it's always like, it's weird with the Rams. Like they'll come to the way we never can quite dictate where they're going to win and when we're going to lose against the Rams. It's kind of a crapshoot. So
right.
It being a neutral site and it not being, in San Francisco, I'm going to treat this as a game in SoFi Stadium where we're going to go in and have a 90-10 crowd differential like we always do. I don't think it'll be like that in Australia. I think it'll be kind of a 50-50 split, but I'm going Niners in this game. Not by a lot, though. I think the Rams will put up points. But I think the Niners, if healthy, have a good amount of weapons to stay right there with them. So we'll see.
You mentioned weapons, Aaron. It looks like George Kittle's probably not going to be healthy for week 1, so that's worth mentioning off the top. Also, Michael Williams has not been cleared to start jogging yet, so you may be without one of your key cogs on the defensive line.
That's not
hopefully that changes. You never know. It's a long time
to be
for
positive
May.
Here.
It's a long time for May to September, so they got about 3+ months to get him in order, 4 months to get things in order, and hopefully that does occur. But one thing I haven't seen many people talk about, and it's minuscule, it came out yesterday, so how much can you get into it? But you mentioned rust with the Rams not playing many people in preseason, Aaron. My concern for LA would be, can Matthew Stafford's back fly 15,000 miles and hold up? Because from I think what Nick Wagner of ESPN said, that San Francisco plans to fly out there relatively early to avoid any jet lag from the immediate time off the plane. Whereas the Rams are like, we're getting in and we're getting out as fast as possible. They want to be there as late as they possibly can and leave as early as they can. So you are already seeing some different types of gamemanship and schematics happening for that game in Australia. But I think I'm with you too. I'm picking San Francisco to win. I think it'll be like 27-24, really close. I wouldn't say it's more than a 3-point spread. But that leads us to week 2 in Miami, which I think the next 2 games are pretty clearly favoring San Francisco. If the Niners can beat the Rams week 1, it sets up a table to run for the next 2 weeks, making San Francisco, in my opinion, 3-0 to begin their season, which is massive for how tough the Seahawks and Rams schedules are to begin the year. Dre, Aaron, what do you think of the next 2 games against Miami and against the Cardinals?
I told my brother, we're playing you guys in week 2. And he's like, great. He's like, you guys are going to kill us. They're a team that's rebuilding. They have a lot of new faces and a lot of new places, new coaching staff, new GM. So this is a game the Niners are expected to win, and they expected to win comfortably, you would assume, right?
Yeah.
Again, healthy. The Dolphins, I'm not saying that the Dolphins won't be prepared. I think the Dolphins are going to be a little sneaky competitive this year than they've been in recent years.
Yeah.
I
Malik Willis, a lot of young players, new regime in place.
New
now.
regime. Yeah, there's not going to be the same old like sleepyhead goofball coach who comes to the press conferences and just talks and rambles. This is a whole different Miami team. They got rid of a lot of their
shots at Mike McDaniel like it's no one's business.
Right. And who cares?
While he's down.
He's a weirdo. But anyways, no, you got to have this game, right? You got to do it. You have to beat the Miami Dolphins. Start the year 2-0, man. That would be great. Again, you got to steal games at the same time where teams like Seattle and the Rams might be playing tougher opponents. You got to get your advantage on them any way you can. So 2-0 Niners.
Not to cut you off, Dre, but this is kind of like last season, right? Where San Francisco played Seattle week 1, got the Saints week 2, then had the Cardinals week 3. It's a very kind of similar beginning to how last year was, and San Francisco won their first 3 games. It was a big pivot point in their season, and how far they were able to go throughout the year. And it kind of gave them some cushion where they can maybe afford to not have Brock Purdy for a large chunk of the year, not have Ricky Pearsall, and hopefully in this case, not have to be without Mike Hill and George Kittle for a large part of the year. But Dre, what do you think? Weeks 2 through 3 against the Cardinals, are they back-to-back wins, and San Francisco starting off 3-0?
Against the Cardinals? Look, I think they should start off 3-0. I think they're going to start off 3-0, and I think this favors San Francisco because, look, they're going to Australia. Yeah, that's a how long is that flight?
15,000 miles, or 15 hours, excuse me, 15 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
So they have a long flight, right?
It's a long time.
There and back, right? But then, look, they get 3 weeks at home in their facility, in their at home in their stadium. They don't have to. They get to sleep in their own beds for 3 weeks. That's a massive advantage to have to start the year off, going all the way to Melbourne, Australia. So yes, I think San Francisco will win these games. I think they're going to win week 1, week 2, and week 3. A lot going on with Arizona. Now, I think the Arizona Cardinal game could be a trap game because you're more focused about Denver coming into town the following week. And you're taking Arizona maybe a little bit too lightly, but I think that at the end of the day, the Niners have more talent, better coaching, and just better personnel, and they should be able to beat all 3 of these teams. Obviously, the Rams game, I think they're going to win, but it's sort of a toss-up to see how that game kind of plays itself out because you're in a neutral environment, hell far away from home. But the Dolphins... I know Malik Willis beat the Niners when he was the quarterbacking for the Browns, but shit happens.
Huh?
What?
He wasn't in Cleveland. He was in Green Bay.
Was he? Who am I thinking of then?
Philip Walker III.
Is that who was quarterback when the Browns beat us?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
I don't know what's happening right now.
So I got the wrong quarterback. But anyway, look,
okay.
I think they're going to beat the Dolphins and they're going to beat the Cardinals, 2 dysfunctional franchises that aren't going anywhere this season. And on the flip side of things, when you look at the Rams schedule to start off the year, it's tough.
Yeah.
They go to Melbourne to play San Francisco. And then they get an extra day of rest because they're playing Monday night cross-country against the New York Giants. Or is it at home? I can't tell. It just says New York Giants Monday Night Football. Like, oh, cool. And then they got it's at home. I'm sorry, it's at home, but it's Monday night against the Giants, and then they go to Denver, to Philly, and then play at home Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. That's a tough schedule. That's not easy. That's not easy.
That's a challenging game against Buffalo. The way Josh Allen likes to run around. I didn't comment on the Arizona game. I think they win that game too, Sterling. You got to beat the poverty franchises, man. If you think you're worth this year and you think you're going to, supposedly the Niners are kind of going all in, with some veteran names. If you can't come into a season, and regardless what happens to the Rams, we're picking them to win, of course, all of us. If you can't handily take care of Miami and Arizona when you're healthy, hopefully in the beginning of the season, then you don't deserve to be considered one of the teams that's going to, make a run or do something. So you got to beat the bad teams. I don't care how they win, but I would love to have them be kind of dominant wins, like, hey,
sure,
we're supposed to kick your ass. If we go in there and we're tripping all over them ourselves and we barely win, then that's also concerning. But the Niners should start the season 3-0. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 4 games of the season aren't gimmies by any means. You have the Rams and the Broncos, who were both playoff teams last year. Both were playing in championship games late in the seasons. And Denver might as well have beat the Bills or beaten the Patriots had Bo Nix got hurt, and they could have been playing in the Super Bowl instead at Levi Stadium over New England. That said, I'll ask you guys this because so much has been made of the Rams having the Monday Night Football game and not San Francisco. Would you rather play Monday Night Football week 2, but have a shorter week 3? Or would you want San Francisco, who chose to not have Monday Night Football over the Rams, instead get 3 home games, not having to go to Florida to play Miami, not having to go to Arizona to play the Cardinals, or not having to go to Mile High Stadium with the low oxygen levels and play Denver? I almost prefer what San Francisco has over what the Rams have, not just based off opponents, but based off of getting to stay home for 3 weeks and thankfully avoiding Denver at Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, having to avoid Mile High, going to high altitude, having to avoid flying cross country to Miami. Obviously, Arizona's not too far away, but still being at home for 3 weeks straight after traveling to Melbourne, Australia, that's a huge benefit. You can go into that game knowing that, hey, after this game, we're gonna fly back and I get to be home for 3 weeks with my family, or with my wife, or with my girlfriend, or with my boo thing, or with my Diana Rossini, whoever.
Yeah,
you have 3 weeks to be at home and do whatever and just relax, and then go to the facility, train, practice, go home. That to me is such a benefit. Imagine the mindset the Niners are gonna have. They're gonna be like, dude, for the next 3 weeks, like, we're gonna be at home. This is so nice to start off the season, and then then they go to Seattle.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning the fact that Bo Nix may not be entirely healthy off the injury he had. Now it's week 4. There's so much time to go. He may be by the time the game takes place, but you avoid obviously Mile High, but also maybe you're playing a Denver Broncos team that quarterback has lingering leg issues or foot issues. Again, that's all hearsay, but it's possible. We've seen Brock Purdy get turf toe week 1 and it linger for the next 7 weeks, 8 weeks throughout the year. So hopefully Bo Nix is healthy, but still, it is good to avoid that. And I think it sets up a winnable 4 games, albeit Denver's defense is just a freaking juggernaut out there with Talanoa Hufanga and co, Patrick Surtain. That'll be a fun matchup. I think, all of the first 4 games, albeit the Rams is always fun because it's the NFC West divisional opponent. I almost think Denver poses a great ramp up for the next game, that being in Seattle.
Yeah.
You're getting pretty much the 2 best defenses in football back to back. And I think you're getting Seattle, I don't know if it's here or later in the year, off their bye week or their kind of mini buys. So you don't really have the rest advantage much throughout the season. I think there are a net 0 games of rest advantage throughout the year. But what do you make of the Broncos and Seahawks games back to back, playing Denver, ramping up to go into Seattle week 5 and play them at 125 on the West Coast?
It's a good ramp up, and you're right. It's going to be a test. I have it as a win myself, but it's going to be a difficult game. This is going to be. We're going to get the answer because Kubiak talked about OC or whatever. He's OC by title. How the Niners got to get different with their offense. They got to grow. They got to mature. React to how teams are reacting to them, is like the Seattles of the world. This is going to be the first time I think we see if that is actually going to happen. That we're actually going to figure out a way to counter what these good defenses have been able to do to us, mainly Seattle, and see. I think there'll be a good litmus test, because if we have this game and we play horrible and their defensive line is all over Brock and we're having all sorts of problems scoring points, that doesn't sit well for me to play a game that following week in Seattle with that ridiculous juggernaut defensive line. So this Denver game, I think it's winnable. I have it as a win, but it's going to be a telltale game for sure.
So Aaron has the Niners starting off 4-0 to begin their year, which I think is the most positive he's been for the last season and a half, which is fantastic.
Is that
Dre,
weird?
Dre, what do you think about week 4 against the Broncos leading into week 5 against the Seahawks?
I think week 4 against the Broncos is probably the biggest litmus test of how good this team really is. I don't think you can base it really off of week 1 because they're playing in a neutral location totally far away in Melbourne, Australia.
Week 1s are always crazy too.
It's always crazy. Now, if you win, which I think they will, win week 2 and week 3 against Miami and Arizona, then week 4 becomes, okay, guys, this is where we got to show the league and we got to prove to ourselves that we're not just beating on weak teams 2 in a row. We got to show that we can beat a contender. Not only that, but you have Denver coming into town, and none other than Dre Greenlaw, as long as he's still healthy, will be out there running amok to show them, you should not have let me go. You should not have passed on me. This is how good I can be if you would have hung on to me. So I think he's got a little payback that he's looking to, put on the Denver Broncos. And I think Niners win this game. I think this is going to be a good game. If Bo Nix is playing, I think it's going to be a much closer game. But a lot of things can happen by week 4. You might have players going down, but let's just say everyone's, the majority of the players are healthy. I think Niners take this game at home. And look, you don't got to go to Mile High. Both Seattle and the Rams, they have to go to Mile High. And not only that, but not to jump ahead of you, but after the Seahawks play San Francisco, they play the Broncos in Mile High on Thursday Night Football. So they have a short week and have to go to Denver to take on the Broncos. That's tough for any team to do.
Yeah, and look, I think San Francisco probably starts their first 5 games 3-2. Whether it's a loss against the Rams or it's back-to-back losses against the Broncos and Seahawks. I think it depends on how you lose. Obviously, losing by 36 points or whatever it was, 38 points to the Seahawks in the playoffs, kind of let the bitter taste in our mouths, albeit did make the season a little bit easier to swallow because we'll probably turned it off at halftime and said, yeah, it's over. Let's move on. Let's just, just go ahead and eat our crow, move on. But
the kick return was it. I was like, oh,
it was the dagger.
No.
We said, yeah, it's going to be a great game. Never mind.
And then
it's over.
It was that coupled with the CMC use check option play, and I was like, all right,
let's not relive our terrible
what are we doing right now?
ending in 2025.
Flying sideline to sideline, you're running an option play like you're freaking Akron. Come on, guys.
If we're gonna go through the 5 games, I think the Niners drop the game in Seattle.
Yes.
Okay.
Seattle.
I agree.
I agree. So you both say they're going 4-1. I'll say they're going 3-2.
Yeah, I just think the Seattle game, it's going to be tough.
Reigning Super Bowl champions. They got most of the team back. They lost some pieces, but Jadarian Price was their first round draft pick. Kenneth Walker's now gone. Zach Charbonnet off the ACL. Emmanuel Wilson's now in there. Seattle will be good. I don't think they're going to be as good, but we all know this defense travels. Offense sometimes doesn't, and their defense doesn't have to travel that game, so it's going to benefit them in a big way. So I have them going 3-2. You guys have them going 4-1. Leading into week 6, Monday Night Football. Love that San Francisco gets the extra day after the Seahawks in week 5. Playing Washington back at home. It'll be, their 4th home game in 5 weeks. Love that. I don't have to go too far. What will likely be the return of Brandon Ayuk to San Francisco, a.k.a. Santa Clara, in prime time. So I think San Francisco, after losing a couple games, gets right, beats the Commanders pretty handily. Jaden Daniels does scare me a little bit with mobility and stuff, but you can't stay healthy through 5 weeks. There's no promise he isn't banged up. I know they're talking about getting Stephon Diggs and Terry McLaurin's there, and none of those guys truly scare me that much. Their offense is kind of if Jaden Daniels can't play, good luck. And the defense last year was atrocious. They made some good moves during the draft, but I think Adam Pierce should get more heat for how bad he is compared to what John Lynch has been the last couple of seasons. So I think San Francisco walks out 4-2 after week 6, wins their second primetime game of the season, which is always great to see. What do you guys make of the Washington Commanders game, Monday Night Football, primetime, Ayuk back in San Francisco most likely?
Wait, so you have them losing to both Denver and Seattle, back-to-back games? Ouch. That's tough.
That's not going to be a very.
It makes sense.
No, I agree. I agree that is a very well a possibility, but man, that's going to give me wow, we're only beating on bad teams. That's
why I said it's how you lose.
But this is a better team than they were last year. I mean, last year
I think
they were dependent on the weak teams to keep them going. This season, I don't think so.
They can beat the Broncos for sure, and that game can be 31-28, 31-24, and I wouldn't be shocked in San Francisco's favor. But I don't know, man. you guys talk about injuries and durability, and you play in Australia, then you play back-to-back home games. Ricky Pearsall got hurt against the Cardinals week 3 against a bad team and couldn't stay healthy the rest of the season. Brock Purdy got hurt against Seattle week 1 and didn't play again until week 4 and got hurt again later on in the year too. So I don't know. Like, I think of Mike Evans being 34 years old, Nick Bosa off a torn ACL coming back. Michael may make his debut at some point during that stretch. The Niners could beat the Broncos. I just don't think San Francisco right now is able to go into Seattle and win. I hope I'm wrong. But I think Denver and Sean Payton, to put it bluntly, I hate them because I hate Sean Payton. But I just think that they are a well-coached team. They travel well, and defense travels. And I think the Broncos defense is miles ahead of where San Francisco's currently is. And if you can stymie the receivers and stop Christian McCaffrey, because they did not really improve the offensive line too much this offseason. If you can't run, you want Purdy dropping back 35 times. You can win that way, but then you're throwing against Hufanga and Patrick Surtain and company, which doesn't bode well for any offense, let alone San Francisco's, with a lot of question marks in the receiver core, and they don't even have George Kittle back at that point in time. So, but they beat the Commanders. They're 4-2. They're 2 games above 500. You guys can talk about that game now, please.
Okay, so Commanders, again, another win. I think Niners are able to get the job done against a Commanders team that I think is still trying to redefine themselves. I mean, they had a great season 2 years ago, got to the NFC title game, and got their butts whooped by the Eagles, who went on to win the Super Bowl. But since then, I mean, if you look at them last season, they were not good.
No.
Defensively and offensively, they were not good. And to be honest, I don't think that Dan Quinn is the kind of quarterback, is the kind of coach that can turn a team around like that. I mean, look, he led the Falcons to the Super Bowl, and then as soon as Kyle Shanahan left, that team was never the same. And so, again, I just don't see this being a team that's going to be able to really figure this out. I think they still have their offensive coordinator, what's his name, from the used to be the Cardinals head coach.
Oh, Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. I think is still there, or maybe
I'm pretty sure he's gone. I'm pretty sure
he's gone. So they have a new offensive coordinator there. I just don't see them being the juggernaut they once were 2 years ago. And to me, I see the Niners coming out with another win at home against Washington. And in my scenario, they only have one loss at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Commanders getting their ass whipped too by the 49ers. I hate when like the media likes to crown people after 1 year, and all of a sudden they're, the Washington Commanders are like to the front of the line of like who people expect to be good, and you better watch out and blah blah blah. I never bought into the Commanders being this incredible team. And hey, if the Niners defensive line is improved like they think it's going to be this year, dude, this is the type of game where you got to hit Jayden Daniels every time you get a chance and just bury his dick in the dirt. I want to see him go down.
You got to contain him too. You can't let him leak out.
Stop with all the leak out crap. Stop it. If you can't stop that, it's going to tell me that doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator comes in here. They just have this inability to stop guys that can move. So that's a good point, Trey. Let's stop all this whirling dervish crap with these quarterbacks that run, spin, run, throw. Oh, look, somebody's wide open after 10 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? That's so aggravating. But I still think they're going to be better, even maybe not even at their best. They're still better than the Commanders. And I think head coach has a ton to do with it too, like Dre said. I think the Kyle Shanahan advantage is a real advantage when you go against bad teams if you have a superior roster. So, I have them starting.
Don't forget, Shanahan also hates the Washington football organization wholeheartedly.
Oh, absolutely.
He did to his father and himself. So there always is a vendetta behind the way Shanahan calls plays where, you mentioned wanting to put Jayden Daniels in the dirt. I think Shanahan, albeit maybe not with ill intent, would agree with you, Aaron, that, we want to go ahead and stomp the Washington Commanders in primetime football and make them look stupid every single time we can because of the familial ties they have to the organization. But both you have the Niners starting the season 5-1. I have them being 4-2 after a get-right win in prime time against the Commanders, which I think leads us to a pretty obvious Raheem Morris revenge game in Atlanta. His return to the ATL. I think they annihilate the Falcons. And Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix, they probably beat them by 30 points on the road, leading into their bye week, which would mean I think they're going to be 5-2 going into the bye. It's a pretty good place. I'm going to assume you both have them being 6-1 going into the bye week this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
You are very positive people.
You don't understand. The negativity is always kind of just brimming beneath the surface with me.
It's brewing right there, ready to come out.
Football hasn't started yet. So me and my nephew always just make a good point. Like the off season, especially the draft when we sucked all those years and we always had like a top 10 pick. Me and my nephew would always say, man, well, the draft is our celebration because we can't lose games in March or April or whatever. Because, by the time the season starts, the Niners were like doo-doo trash. This
Talking
team,
like a true Jets fan right there.
Yeah, but I'm not at that. I'm not at that mindset because I think they just have enough talent to get the job done against these so-so teams. And I can't imagine them. I don't know. I'll just stay with what I said. I having them beating Atlanta. I'm trying to stay positive.
Okay.
That's
okay.
all.
Dre, I'm assuming you had the same thing here.
Yeah, I have them beating Atlanta. So at this point now, I mean, they would be what? 6-1.
Yeah.
I think they have a shot to go 6-1, possibly 5-2 by the time they get past the Falcons into the bye week. I think if you're going to have any losses, it's going to be at Seattle, and probably week 1 could go either way. So, at worst, I think 5-2. At best, they're 6-1.
And I also think. Oh, sorry.
But I was just saying, like, you have to capitalize on the advantage you have at the start of the season, which is having 3 straight home games. You have to capitalize on those.
But that's why I think I'd rather lose to Denver than the Rams, just simply based off a divisional opponent getting some kind of cushion to begin the year. I'd much rather lose to the Broncos at home than lose to the Rams week 1, just for obvious, divisional reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather beat the Rams just because I hate them. But, that's just me. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to week 9 now. You guys have San Francisco 6-1 out of the bye week. I have them 5-2. I think playing the Raiders at home, I think for the first time in a very long time, they haven't had this, I think, it feels like in forever. And they play the Raiders twice this year in the preseason and in the regular season now, once in at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas and then once at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. But I think this is a clear, obvious Niners are rested. They get the win against the Raiders. Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, whoever's playing quarterback out there. Raiders can get them fits on the ground, maybe with Ashton Genty if they fix the offensive line enough. But coming out of the bye week, I think San Francisco go ahead and run through the Raiders and is 6-2 in my opinion. Maybe you guys have them being 7-1 though. I'm sure you guys do.
7-1.
7-1, baby.
I don't see how losing to the Raiders.
I just don't.
I don't.
Exactly.
The
Billy
Kubiak
Connector,
revenge game, you don't think he'll beat Shanahan once again?
Nah.
No, because whenever these guys leave and become a head coach, that's when Shanahan pounces on them, and all of a sudden they're like, what's happening?
I just think they're a poverty franchise too. There's always there's something happening.
They're just in a constant rebuild. I'm sure Max Crosby will be hurt by then. This is a long season.
Don't say that, because I was actually thinking this is the type of season, if we're doing well, that the Niners, especially with the cap money they have, I could definitely see a mid-season trade with this kind of season.
To bring that up, the Niners obviously play the Raiders this year, Max Crosby, but the trade deadline is November 17th, so 2 days after Week 10 against the Dallas Cowboys. So they would have a little bit more time if they wanted to talk trade, but it could be a good chance for Davis and Lynch to get together and talk compensation and see what that would look like. Maybe if Crosby's having a down year, maybe you can kind of get a steal, albeit I don't see it happening. But let's kind of go into that for a second. You're in week 9. You have them being 7-1. I have them being 6-2. Going to Dallas, to Jerry World, taking on the Dallas Cowboys 2 days before the trade deadline. Let's talk about the game itself. I think San Francisco wins this game. I have a hard time believing they're going to lose to the Cowboys. But more importantly, do you think, unlike last offseason, San Francisco, if they are 7-1, if they are, 8-2, whatever you guys think they're going to be at this point in time, do you think they make that splash trade and capitalize on their hot start? Whether it's Max Crosby, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, somebody else, whoever's available at the deadline, do you think this is the year Lynch says, F some picks, we're going crazy deadline day because we have to capitalize on Mike Evans being 34, Trent being 37, going on 38, and Kittle going on 31 to begin the year? Or do they view the return of Kittle and Michael and guys like that as the acquisitions come deadline week?
I don't know. Like, me and Mike were talking about this on X, and Mike was like talking about trading a bunch of our picks this year away for the possibility of, getting Max Crosby. And I told him, come back to me mid-season. And I had said to him, like, the Niners aren't one player away, at least right now, from winning a Super Bowl, even if a Max Crosby came up. Now, fast forward into the season, if we are what we think we're going to be at this time, I could totally see them making a move. Are you kidding me? I don't think it will be for a guy like Max Crosby. I think the Highsmith one seems more of a possibility. But yeah, I think they would. It's weird because last year, me and Dre especially, we were really bummed out about it. But that team was so far from winning a championship last year. And I'm glad they didn't make a move, and I'm glad they didn't listen to us because it would have been a dumb move. But if you come into this year and you're 9-1, 8-2, you got to make a move.
Okay. Dre, what do you think about that?
If we sign Joey Bosa, then no, you don't have that pressing need to make a move. You have to reevaluate your roster and say, hey, is there an injury that has set us back at this position? And that still very well may be the case. Now, if they make the move and they sign a guy like Joey Bosa, then you're fortified up front, especially with now that gives Michael Williams the opportunity to return when he's 100% and ready to rock. You don't have to rush his return. So, the fact that they haven't made a move to get a tight end is a little crazy. I mean, they're really just going to roll with Farrell and Tonjes, which is like,
don't forget about Khalil Dinkins, the star Penn State UDFA who can block his ass off, my friend.
Whatever. Still, I mean, they're probably going to have 3 tight ends on the roster anyway, and they usually do as it is. So, but at this point, I think San Francisco can make a move, but it'd be beneficial for them to get a guy like Joey Bosa now and not have to give up your draft picks and land somebody else. Because look, if you're going to go after a guy like Max Crosby, you're going to have to give up a ton of draft capital to get a guy like that. And I don't know if that's a guy that I don't know if that's a move that they want to do right now as they're trying to kind of rebuild this roster, and they have a lot of aging players. But if they're 7-1, teams have done some crazy shit when they have a massively good winning record. Again, look at the Colts last season. They traded 2 or 3 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, and then he got hurt, and it was like, that was a dumb move. And then, Mooney Ward, he went down. That's not good. And then the whole team just kind of fluttered away. So I think they will look to make a move, but it's just going to be where they need help. It's possible that they could look to acquire another defensive tackle, depending on how these guys perform. Yep. They're always big on getting guys down, on the defensive line, in the trenches. You're not going to get an offensive lineman. They typically don't get traded at trade deadlines. Those are off-season moves. I think could they go defense? I think they could. If all of a sudden the Broncos have a down year and they're in a really bad spot, maybe you try to make a move and get a guy like Pat Surtain. That way you have him and Lenore. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You make a move to get another shutdown corner so that you have better corners to combat, Puka Nacua and JSN and those guys.
I think it's more likely that Ji'Ayir Brown is shoved onto the podcasting platforms and they go trade for Jesse Bates over maybe a cornerback simply because there are Raheem Morris ties. But, Stovey mentioned Kayvon Thibodeau for a fourth. I think his price will go down throughout the year. That does kind of fit the mold of a 1-year contract. They sign him. He's on the team for, half a year plus a little bit of a playoff run, hopefully a Super Bowl run. Then go signs elsewhere for a compensation pick in return. That kind of fits what they want to do usually at deadline. So I really wouldn't be shocked if that's the way they go if things line up correctly for them. That said, through 10 weeks, Dallas Cowboys, I think we're all picking San Francisco to win. I have them being Dre?
I actually have them losing this game.
Wow.
In Dallas.
Okay. I can see it.
Hey, I'm
actually
high-powered
offense.
There's a good chance that I'm going to be at this game as well.
Ooh.
In Dallas, where me and some family are trying to put together a trip. I know. I'm going to have to hit up John Chapman and show up to his pregame show.
Gold Rush.
Yeah, Gold Rush. But no,
Rush. That's what the intro should be.
As much as I want, and I think Niners can beat Dallas, I think that this is a game in Dallas that, they're gearing up for. They want to beat San Francisco. The last times they played San Francisco, the Niners have embarrassed them. And now they have George Pickens. They have CeeDee Lamb.
We'll see how long that lasts, but yeah.
Right. And then, of course, the moves they made to bolster their defensive line. I think they're going to be a pretty formidable team to go against. And I think that Dallas can squeak this out. The Niners coming off a blowout win against the Raiders. I just see it as a game that is close, and they just end up losing this game. So that's where I have them losing.
Yeah, I can see this game being like 44-41, where like no defense is played at all, and we're just like, holy hell, can somebody get a stop? Dallas. I think Dallas is one of the few offenses. I know people don't love Dak. Dak's a good quarterback. He isn't great. We know this, but he has weapons now. And if you look at that offense last year, which is bringing back a lot of the same people, they didn't win a lot of games, but they were in a lot of games late because the offense was just leading them back and forth.
This is a game that you could lose with the deep routes. You got CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens.
Speaking of Ji'Ayir Brown not being good.
Ji'Ayir Brown, Siegel, or Mustafa, they're not good deep downfield. And I think that the Cowboys can take advantage of that late in the game. And this feels like a game where it's like this is a Tonjes fumble in the fourth quarter really
hopefully he's not playing in the fourth quarter. Kittle's
Why
back.
is Tonjes playing in this game in the fourth quarter, right?
I'm just saying, it's one of those games where you're like, oh no, like, oh, no turnover.
Yeah, like the one brutal mistake, you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Well, and then
this could also be a game with the trade deadline looming where they see their defense get burnt on the back end and they go, we got to get Jesse Bates in here or somebody else to help the safety room out.
This could be a game where
maybe they'll re-sign Donte Whitner. Who knows? He seems like he wants to play nowadays.
Well, it seems like a game where like they see their deficiencies in the secondary, and then maybe they say, okay, let's make a move to bring in a shutdown corner, and then Renardo Green will figure out where to put you or whoever. Maybe someone's hurt. Sure. I'm not sure. If not corner, then safety. But safety, that's a hard position to trade for at the trade deadline. I just don't see a lot of that happening.
If the team is not good and they want to offload a contract or something.
Yeah,
and
they got traded to the Jets this offseason from the Miami
Niners
Dolphins.
need a safety more because they have to make another edge move before the season starts.
When you look at the schedule, right? I mean, you have Terry McLaurin, with the Commanders, but you don't have a dual threat. Like you don't have two, fast big receivers like the Cowboys do. Seattle has JSN, dynamic, and you have Shaheed, who's fast. But the Broncos, and you got Cardinals, Dolphins. Like I think this is where they make
the Broncos got Jalen Waddle and Cortland Sutton, man.
I don't care, but I think this is the game where their secondary gets really exposed. They fuck things
Stribling?
up.
They just drafted Stribling too. What are you talking about?
No, but I'm saying their secondary is just not fast. And I think this is where, and this would be going into your trade deadline. So you're like, okay, we saw what happened. Let's make a move, and they get somebody to help their secondary. Maybe even like a guy like Jalen Ramsey, somebody to play
Yeah,
safety.
that was a name that was dropped out there.
He played
If he
safety
gets
last year
cut,
for the
I would
Steelers.
love to have Jalen Ramsey on this team. I'm a
Yeah, be
huge
really
Jalen
fun.
Ramsey fan. I love that guy.
Okay, so Dre has the Niners losing to Dallas week 10. Aaron and I have them winning, meaning Aaron, I believe, has them at 8-1 going in to week 11, Mexico, against Juwan Jennings and Mighty Mouse Kyler Murray, or 9 JJ McCarthy. Meanwhile, me and Dre have them being, 7-2 going into week 11. So not too bad.
You had them 6-3 because you had them losing twice early on.
This is
I
going to be
had them beating the Cowboys, though.
This is going to be a crazy one for you guys, but I have them losing to Minnesota.
Same.
No.
I have it happening
Mexico City.
too, man.
No.
Brian Flores' defense is going to give this offense fits. It always does.
It does.
It's going to suck to watch.
But I think this is a game where Minnesota is coming into Mexico City like, where the fuck are we right now? And the Niners are like, dude, we were here a couple years ago. This place is badass. And not to mention how many Niner fans are there. I think, again, because you're in a neutral location, it all comes down to execution. And I think that the Niners are going to execute. And I think that the Vikings will make more mistakes. And a reminder, you're putting Kyler Murray as your quarterback now. Is he going to stay the quarterback, or is he going to be JJ McCarthy? Probably not. But then again, I say that
Dude, Kyler gives this defense fits at times.
Exactly.
He beat him last year.
I say that, but Kyler Murray always burns the Niners. But the Niners defense has gotten a lot better in the offseason, and I think that I really feel like this defense is going to be closer to the one we had in 2023. So I see the Niners win this game in Mexico City. I think we own Mexico City. That's a win in my book.
I think if you win in Australia, you're probably not going to win in Mexico City. The odds you win both the international games are pretty slim. I'd rather win the one against the Rams, obviously, and we'll see how the season goes. But I don't know. Like, the way I look at this, it's week 11. You were just in Dallas. Now you're playing Sunday Night Football. A couple hours to kind of rest over what you usually had. But Juwan Jennings, Jordan Mason, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, like you mentioned, the defense having a problem kind of guarding the back end of it. If Kevin O'Connell unleashes that receiving core on the Niners defense, like, good luck. Like, it's Addison, Jefferson, and Jennings, whether it's McCarthy or whether it's Murray, like, that's going to give San Francisco's defense fits. And you have Jordan Mason, who's an adequate running back in the backfield. Aaron Jones, albeit he can't stay healthy too much. Like, the Vikings are not a bad team. They have a bad quarterback last year, which derailed a lot of their problems or derailed a lot of their season, but that defense still came to play. And they lack talent, sure, but their personnel department, their coaching makes up for a lot of it. Brian Flores is, in my opinion, one of the top 3 best defensive minds in football. It's like McDonald, it's Flores, and you can fill out whoever is the third one in that room. But I just think you've seen the Niners with a better roster, fully healthy, walk into Minnesota and lose against them before. You've seen them lose to Kirk Cousins in prime time with a healthy defense that's 10 times better than what they have now. I just think if you beat Dallas and you beat the Raiders, at some point you're going to get smacked in the face, and it's why I think they're going to come out of week 11 and they're going to host the Seattle Seahawks, and they're going to put the middle fingers up and go ahead and say enough's enough, and they're going to beat Seattle week 12 at home in front of the faithful.
That's exactly. That's so funny.
I have them winning that game. That's the game they finally kind of beat Seattle and kind of, okay, we can do this. I have them winning in Mexico City and at home against the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh.
I have them losing to. I have them down losing to Seattle again, twice.
Wow. Okay, so Aaron has the Niners being swept by the Seahawks in 2026. I had them splitting with Seattle. Seems like Dre's on the same wavelength as me. I believe that would mean the Niners are 9-2, according to Aaron. And I think they are 8-3, according to me and Dre.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Heading into week 13, which is the dreaded MetLife 10 a.m. East Coast. Hide your legs, hide your Achilles, hide your tendons, because watch out. That MetLife turf is cursed and it's coming for you. I think San Francisco wins this game. That isn't the problem. That isn't the question I have. It's who gets hurt and how long are they out for and how many people go down is my biggest concern, because you're playing a brutal game against the Seahawks the week prior. Then you're flying to the East Coast the next week and you're playing against the Giants. I think they eke this game out. They get their 9th win of the year, but they kind of have to, because then they have the Rams, the Chargers, the Chiefs, Philadelphia, and the Cardinals to end their year. So I think they'll have 9 wins at this point in time, but God forbid somebody else goes down, mainly being one of the big stars of this team. But Dre, what do you think about that?
Look, Kenny 49ers, look, we already have Aaron to be super negative when he wants to be. He's in the chat saying, "Oh, we're going to be lucky to win 8 or 9 games. If we're lucky."
Kenny,
Kenny,
big ifs.
I know, come
Kenny,
on.
at least
Kenny.
wait till after training camp.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Once somebody gets a phantom ACL injury and we're all like, what the hell happened? Then
I just want to
say
say
about it.
I have the Niners at 3 losses right now.
I swear, I think that Kenny Aaron, is this your burner account?
No.
He's like,
I have a lot of those,
like ass
but
for
I use
years.
them.
This is what happens.
No.
Okay, so look, I get it. It's passion. I love it, right? Kenny, you're awesome. But I have them. This is going to be an interesting game because the Giants had a lot of injuries last season that kind of derailed what they had going on. Now they have John Harbaugh there. They brought in some guys, some of Harbaugh's guys from the Ravens to kind of bolster up that team. Jackson Dart's going into week 2. I happen to like Jackson Dart. I think he's a really good quarterback.
Cam Scatterbo healthy, Malik Neighbors healthy, maybe.
Neighbors, and then they drafted, what was his name?
As long as Jackson Dart
Reese.
doesn't play head first like he does last year,
that
and
was
just
terrible
getting
draft pick.
concussions.
Argo Reese was terrible.
I didn't like where he was taken.
David Bailey was 10 times worse than that.
That was terrible too. I actually think David Bailey, I think is a good player, but like I like that we got Romello Height out of the two of them. I mean, I like Romello Height. I like the aspect that he brings. Okay, so going into that Giants game, it's going to depend on where the Giants end up at this point in the season. I think it's unfair for us to compare them to what they were last season. I think it's going to be a totally different team. You got John Harbaugh there. Now they have more confidence instead of Brian Dable, who's like, get me out of here. So they're going cross country. It's a 10 a.m. game. I think Niners still pull this one off, and they win.
There's a good chance that the Giants have 3 or 4 wins at this point in time during the season, by the way. They had a pretty brutal beginning to their schedule. Not to cut you off, Aaron, but they have, beginning of the year, they have Dallas, the Rams. Then they have 2 cupcake games against the Titans and the Cardinals. Then they have the Commanders, the Saints, the Texans, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Jags, the Colts leading into this game against San Francisco. So they could be a 4-win team looking like who's the backup quarterback, Drew Lock, get out there, win some games for us if possible.
Yeah, so this will be the
Drew Lock. I like Drew Lock.
This will be the 10th win the Niners get on my docket.
Okay. So he has them at what? 10-2.
10-2. I have them at 9-3.
Both I have them at 9-3.
I have them. Hold on.
The 10-2 because of bye week, Aaron.
So I would have them at 9-3.
No,
okay.
No.
Yeah.
Wait,
Vikings loss. Seattle Seahawks loss.
Oh, right. Aaron has both.
Right. He had
the Seattle Seahawks
and the Minnesota loss. So yeah.
Okay. So we're all at 9-3.
We're all at 9-3.
Shockingly, we got there together.
Yeah.
Okay.
We took different paths, but we ended up in the same spot.
This is where I tell you about my best.
This is where I think we're going to divulge and go different paths because this is the
wacky.
This reminds me of 2019 when it was the Ravens and then the Saints back to back on the road in Seattle late in the year, and we're all just like, holy hell, can they win one of these games to stay in front as a number 1 seed? Don't forget this team travels. Don't forget this team travels 38,000 miles to begin their season. A lot of that is Australia and back, but still, I do think they will lose this game at home against the Rams.
Yeah.
I think they'll be 9-4 coming off the Giants game, whether it's an injury that happens against the Giants, it kind of makes them somewhat somber. And unfortunately, I think they're going to lose to both these LA teams back to back. It's Rams at home. I don't love that for them. And then it's Harbaugh's Chargers on a short week at SoFi. I don't love that for them either. I think they're going to lose back-to-back games. And honestly, I'm going to hate this. I think they're going to drop 3 in a row out of the Giants game. I think they're going to lose to the Rams, the Chargers, and Kansas City. And they're going to be playing for a top of the wild card, maybe kind of how they were last year of like, if they can win in a week 18, a week 17, they'll be the number 1 seed. And we're all going to go, yeah, good luck with that. So I have them being, when it's all said and done, 9-6 heading into week 17 against Philadelphia.
So I have them beating the Giants, coming home, and losing to the Rams. I just think because it's going to be such a difference between playing a team like the Giants and then you're going to get like woken up like, holy we're playing the Rams. And then the Chargers game, I think their quarterback's overrated. Everybody keeps talking about how great he really is. How great he really is. He hasn't accomplished anything in his career. So
sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I have them. I don't know if we're jumping ahead and doing all these at the same time, but
no, I just did the big bunch because I had them lose them 3 games in a row. You can talk about them individually if you want to.
All right, we'll leave that. I mean, I already touched on the Chargers, so I have them winning that game. I have them bouncing back.
So you have them losing to the Rams and beating the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Dre, what do you have there?
So this is going to be a tough stretch because you got the big game against the Rams, who I have them losing to, which sucks. But to me, it's like, look, if you lose against the Rams, the pressure's on, right? And I think they will lose week 14 against the Rams, but if they're going to go through a stretch, because, I mean, look, when you look past the Chargers, you got the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Cardinals. And at this point, I don't think you can fall to 9-6 and say, okay, oh, crap, we can't really lose any more games. Because if you do, then you're maybe a wild card team if you're lucky. So I think Niners pull out the win in Thursday Night Football against the Chargers. But it would not surprise me if they lost back-to-back games. It really wouldn't.
Okay.
So you know what? I'm gonna go back-to-back losses. I think they're gonna lose to the Rams, and that Thursday night game is just a kick in the nuts. And it's a game where they lose, like a 20-14 game where you're like, fuck, they couldn't get anything going. Everyone looks tired. They're running in, it's like they're running in sand, so.
Yeah.
One of those classic Brock games where he just, for some reason.
He just stinks it up and you're like, whatever.
Do you remember the game when we played the Chargers with Jimmy Garoppolo where nothing was working? It was just like foot in the mud. Like, what are we doing? So I think it's going to be a game like that where just nothing's really going to work out, and then they're going to end up losing that game to a weird score where it was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, to give you all more context, this is via Kyle Posey of SB Nation, Niners Nation. He says the Niners have a negative 12-day rest differential with a lot of tough spots in the second half of the season, starting with that Seahawks game in Week 12. Seattle's coming off their bye week in Week 12. So they're fully rested, while San Francisco is coming off of the Mexico City game against the Vikings. We all said San Francisco loses that game, or I said they're going to beat Seattle, but obviously some more context may help. But then you follow that up with an East Coast trip to New York in Week 13. That'll be a tough game for injury reasons being the bigger one, in my opinion. But then you have the Rams off their mini bye week. I think they play on Thursday Night Football heading to Week 14, so they have an extra rest advantage. And then you play Thursday Night Football against the Chargers. And so that's not fun. So you're playing essentially Seattle off a bye week, immediately going to the East Coast. Then you're playing the Rams off a mini bye week. Then you have your short week. But you do get a mini bye week against the Chiefs in Week 16. That leads us to this game. Had this game been Week 4, I think I'd pick San Francisco. It's sunnier in Kansas City. Mahomes may or may not be healthy. Maybe he's a little rusty. I don't know what's happening with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice out there in KC and all their problems. Travis Kelce on a 1-year deal to return to help pay for his and Taylor Swift's wedding this offseason. But I think with it being week 16 on the
That's a
road
tough
in Kansas
one.
City, freezing cold, Mahomes likely back in his groove. Arrowhead, that crowd, they have your number. They have had it since 2018. I just don't think San Francisco ekes this one out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is exactly what it was like in 2023 when they lost to the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals back-to-back games when y'all said, what's wrong with the 49ers? Does this team have enough? I think they're going to lose to the Rams, Chargers, and Chiefs back to back to back, and they'll be 9-6 going into Week 17 prime time against Philadelphia. Aaron, what do you think about that?
I don't have them losing 3 in a row, but I do have them losing to Kansas City, and I'll tell you why. When the draft was going on, I looked at my brother and I said, people are sleeping on the Chiefs like they slept on the Patriots when they thought Tom Brady was done winning Super Bowls. And then he proceeded to win, however many with the Patriots. I kind of sense that Mahomes' career is going to take a similar trajectory. His play has gotten worse. He's good, but for some reason, the Niners just can't beat the fucking Chiefs. They just can't. I don't know why. They have a history of losing to them, no matter who it is or who your quarterback is or what era, what years, what decade. And I don't see that changing. I think going into Kansas City in that stadium late in the year, banged up, coming off a tough win against the Chargers and a tough couple, this stretch with Seattle, the Giants, the Rams, and then the Chargers. Just think the Niners are going to be a little bit gassed in this game. So I have them losing, which would give them, on my schedule, their last loss of the year against Kansas City.
So just for clarification, they are 10-5 to you right now in Week 16. Okay, Dre, you have them winning or losing, and I believe right now you may be on par with Aaron and them being 10-5 again. Or are you saying they're going to be 11-4 at this point in time?
Going into Arrowhead, this team has never been a team that performs well in the snow and the trenches. Your offensive line, as much as you like them to be athletic and be able to move in space and block, it just seems like every time we get into a frigid game, that O-line just turns into like a bunch of Kyler Murrays that out there running around like, they can't block anybody. The running game goes nowhere. And this is a game where you have to question yourself, like, hey, do we just keep giving the rock to CMC? Or is this a game where you see a lot more Jordan James or Kalen Black? I don't know. It depends on the status, the health. I mean, this is Week 16. This is deep in the season. And when you go into these frigid conditions with guys that are going through, with guys that have other ailing injuries already, it can be tough. I think the deciding factor is that will Mahomes be back by then?
Yeah.
Which I think he will.
Yeah, 100%.
If he's not,
this changes everything.
Then the Niners win. If he's there, then I think the Chiefs win.
Well, he's supposed to be back by Week 1, so
I don't see how, though. I mean, he tore his ACL in Week 13?
Right.
Did he really?
Yeah, Mr. Fake injury guy.
He was like,
No, he did, but I just think by Week 16 he'll be back. Even if he's back by Week 10, that's 6 games to get yourself right before you play San Francisco. So
yeah. The Niners that's their bugaboo. The Chiefs it's kind of like Minnesota. We just have issues with them, and the Chiefs are the same thing.
If the Niners pull this
off against them,
if the Niners pull this off, this will be a clutch win for San Francisco. Yes. The 2 clutch wins that they really need to have late in the season is at home against the Rams and at home against the Eagles. Those are the 2 big games. When you look at when you get past the Giants, you're like, okay, we got 4 games here. We have to go 2-2.
Yeah,
if you
right.
go 0-4, your season's over.
They can theoretically lose to the Chargers and the Chiefs and be okay when it comes to a NFC West conference standing, conference tiebreaker standpoint, which is why I don't think, I don't view the season being over or it's like doom and gloom losing against the Chargers and the Chiefs. I think losing against the Rams and losing against Philadelphia would be a lot worse than losing against beating KC. I'd much rather lose against AFC opponents each and every day of the week. if you're going to lose, make it against the Raiders and against the Chargers and against the Chiefs over teams in your own conference or division.
So I would
go ahead.
say going into Week 16, it's going to be a loss. I think they're going to lose in Kansas City.
Okay, so I believe you have them at, what is that? Do you have them at 9-6 or 10-5?
9-6.
Okay, so
I'm
me
same
and
as
you are on
you.
the same page.
Yeah,
So
I'm same as you.
me and Dre have the Niners being 9-6 heading into Week 17 against Philadelphia, prime time, Sunday night football. My father's birthday. He's gonna probably be yelling and screaming at the TV. My mom will be like, "Shut up, Michael! It's not that important." He'll be like, "You know what's more important than anything in my life right now?" And she'll say, "You have 4 kids. That's so disrespectful." And then they'll fight and get over it. But anyways, I think San Francisco, after losing, in my opinion, 3 consecutive games, I think they smack the living crap out of Philadelphia and the Cardinals. Jalen Hurts, to me, I know they changed offensive coordinators and maybe that fixes things. But A.J. Brown's going to be gone and they have Mekhi Lemon. And I don't know, man. Like, I'm just not really buying what Philadelphia is selling. This could be a game where Nick Sirianni's playing for his job in San Francisco, gets him fired at the end of the year. And wouldn't it be great to end Sirianni's reign in Philadelphia?
I would love it.
It'd be so nice. So I think San Francisco ends the season 11-6, 1 spot better than I had them finishing last year, in 1 spot worse than they actually finished in 2025. And I have them beating the Cardinals and Philadelphia to end their season. And yes, I do indeed have them being the wild card team once again in 2026. Aaron, what do you think about that?
That's fair. I just I'm 1 game. I've chosen 1 game less for them to lose, but I think Seattle. Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, for some reason, I don't know why I'm confident against them with Sirianni as their coach. Just weird. It's like, other than when Brock got his elbow torn off in that game.
They're front runners, man. They're all front runners.
They're
Every
super
single one
big
of them.
front runners.
And realistically, I mean, look, they won that Super Bowl against the Chiefs because their defense was just unstoppable that year for Philadelphia.
Their quarterback, he didn't play too bad in that game. He played pretty
good.
well.
He
played
played
very
really
well.
Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal come Super Bowl time, but the last couple of years getting him there, I think Jalen Hurts has been one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL the last 2 seasons.
Look at the pass he threw that Eric Kendricks almost intercepted at the end of that game. It was like, where are you going with that one? That guy was
4
triple
verts, baby.
covered.
Calling 4 verts every time.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah, I Sirianni to me is more of a face, like a mouthpiece. You know, he's kind of a tool. He's kind of a dork. You know, he's just like, look at me. I stand up for my players and I'm bombastic and I scream at fans in the tunnel and stuff. It's just like, I don't know, dude. If it comes to X's and O's, I'm picking Kyle Shanahan every day and twice on Sunday against Nick Sirianni. Yeah. And then when it comes to the Cardinals, I just think the Niners are better than the Cardinals right now. Yeah. They're not a good team. If the Niners trip and fall over a team like the Cardinals as they're getting ready to go into the playoffs, if we think that's where they're going to be, then they don't deserve to win in the playoffs. You can't lose that game. That should be a game where you pull your starters in the top of the 4th quarter because you're up, 38-10 or something, or 27-10 or 27-17, whatever. So yeah, I have them going 12-5. That's weird because I could have gone the route of the 3 straight losses too. I kind of felt like the Niners will just find something within them to be like, F this, man. We're not losing 3 straight. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's like a speech from freaking Fred Warner or something. We can't do this. We are,
let's think. They lost 3 games in a row in 2023.
Yep.
They lost seemingly, it felt like many more than 3 games in a row in 2024. Did they lose 3 games in a row last year?
No, they didn't. They
didn't.
No.
See, they got their butts handed to them by the Texans.
Right.
They put the Giants the week after, right?
They went to New York and beat the Giants. And then we beat the Titans, and then we beat that's when we went on the streak of like shitty teams, and we beat all of them.
And everybody was getting happy, including myself. Like,
right,
maybe it's happening.
So they traded losses. They lost against Jacksonville. They beat the Rams. They lost against the Bucks. They beat the Falcons. They lost against the Texans. They beat the Giants, and they lost against the Rams. Okay.
Yeah, and then they went on a streak of we beat up on bad teams.
Lori, I
So-
thought
Until
you were
Seattle.
talking about Steve Bono. I was like, Steve Bono in the chat?
Steve Bono, former Niner, former Chief. So at the end of the day, we have them at what?
I have 11 and
6?
6.
11 and 6.
Aaron
They-
has
'cause
them
they can't
12
go
and
12
5.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that the guy that's negative about everything has them at one better? Because you said
This
something
is
different.
exactly what happened last year, though, because you were more positive than I was, and then the whole year you were like, "Oh God, this is the worst thing ever."
injuries.
I complained
injuries,
at-
substation
let me-
injuries.
let me-
Substation.
Let me say something
Princess
though.
Pearsall.
He dude.
Fire
Well,
the
look-
training staff.
let me say what I can. Let me say that I still stand by what I said last year when it comes to the injuries. Because I had this argument with this one person who I ended up blocking, and he was like, "Preseason, it doesn't matter. You're just, rah," and I'm like, "Well, okay." And then it would be like, "It's week 4. It doesn't matter because so and so's coming back, and then so and so didn't come back. Well, it's still week 10. Like dude, they have a lot of injuries. Their roster is depleted, and that was just after a while. Like I almost got tired of talking about it because it was like every single time we did a stream, it was like, who did we lose in this game? It happened every week. Every time we'd win, we'd lose 3 players, and it was just to the point where I was just like, yeah.
And
Just
that is one of the
don't
arguments for this
Practice reports,
season.
Aaron. You'll be a lot happier throughout the week.
But that's an argument for this season is that like you have a much older 49ers team that is more
Yeah.
susceptible to injuries. Now anybody can get hurt, obviously, but obviously as you have more aged players, they have a higher percentage, to get hurt. But I mean, if you think we're crazy, right? If you're like, oh man, these guys, they're predicting this is the craziest shit. Where do they get these from? Take a look at this one. I'm going to share the screen real quick. This is from Jarrett Bailey, who the fuck that is. This is his prediction. They have the Niners going 8-9, and the Seahawks going 9-8.
So he
mean-
has Seattle being on a Super Bowl hangover. They win. They're going to be a little let down. Whereas
Look
he
at
has
the
the Commanders
Eagles.
being 10-7.
Look at the Eagles, 8-9.
He has the
Look at
Commanders
Vikings,
being.
8-9.
He has the Titans winning 7 games. He has the Broncos winning 7 games.
I have the
Jesus.
Giants. I have the Eagles with that record. I could see that, but have everybody below Dallas with the same record too.
Look at the Bengals, 12-5. Like what?
Joe Burrow's got. If Joe Burrow's healthy, maybe.
yeah,
But
I don't.
they
think
don't have a
so.
defense
I don't.
though.
They don't have an
I
offensive
will
line.
say this: the Niners' worst case scenario, I think, could be 8-9, because going back to the schedule for a second, like you look at it and you can say, okay, they can lose to Philadelphia. Okay, let's say Philadelphia's playing good football, the defense is playing good, and San Francisco's banged up. They can lose to Kansas City. They can lose to the Chargers. They can lose twice to the Rams. The Rams are a damn good football team. They can lose twice to Seattle. They're a damn good football team. Then you're talking about maybe losing the game against the Vikings in Mexico City. Dallas has a really good offense. I can see that happening. If the Commanders do bounce back in a big way, Jaden Daniels is healthy, maybe that's an option. Denver's a really good team. Like, there's a path to San Francisco getting banged up,
No, I
losing
agree.
a lot of games, and we're all just like, oh my God. But the odds would say if Brock Purdy's healthy with what he showed last year, and I think that's what people are forgetting. Oh, San Francisco is older. They were just as old last year, had worse talent last year, and won 12. They won 12 games in a playoff game. Like, why should fans not believe at least somewhat in the fact is that they can beat good teams throughout the year? They beat the Bears last year in a shootout. That game could be eerily similar to the Dallas Cowboys game this year.
Yeah.
And San Francisco won that game with basically nobody on offense. And let's be honest here too. San Francisco's running game sucked last year.
It's probably going to suck this year.
It's hard to imagine it being much
Did we
worse.
switch
Like 2.5
bodies? Did
yards.
somebody
per
do
carry.
some weird witchcraft or something? What is happening with you?
Who,
It's
me?
that voodoo, man.
Yeah, what happened?
I mean,
The
look,
Friday
they
Vet
didn't
Mac.
You're
make,
sounding like Shawn Michaels in his old age, like
dude, they didn't make any huge
Dre lost his
differences
smile, my
on
friend.
the O line.
Dre lost his
Who's
smile.
going to start at left guard? It's going to be
Carver
the
Willis, baby. Or
No,
Carver
it's
Willis.
not going to be Carver Willis.
It's gonna
It's
be
not gonna
Carver
be
Willis,
Car-
baby.
I'm telling
It's
you
gonna
right
be-
now, they've already told you it's going to be him.
No, it's not going to be him. It's going to be the guy they got, the
Robert
guy with the
Jones.
neck injury.
The Miami
Jones.
guy?
Yeah, Robert Jones. Thank you.
Maybe he'll
He-
start at center.
No, he's not. No,
Jake Brendle's getting signed to an extension, I guess, according to the rumors out there. So get ready to buckle up, my friend.
Look, I don't think Willis will be the starter week 1. No way. The other guy we just talked about, what was his name?
They said the same thing about Dominic Pooney, and he hasn't not started the game. And
yeah, but he was replacing who? John Feliciano, who was hurt. He was hurt.
Burford.
Yeah, so was Burford. They were both hurt that year.
Well, now left guard's worse than what
yeah,
right
but you got Robert Jones. Robert Jones is the guy they're going to go with because
may not be healthy.
He is. And here's the thing. They're going to go with Robert Jones because he is a veteran offensive lineman that understands his assignments. That's going to be right next to.
They tried to go with
Trent
Ben
Williams.
Barch last year. That didn't work out. They had to change throughout the year.
No. Ben Barch worked out great. The problem was he couldn't stay healthy.
2 games?
When he was out there, he played well. But every time he was like, I'm hurt. And it was gone.
Yeah, Robert Jones may go, my neck.
He
and
might.
It's over.
I'm back.
According to Larry Krueger, he knows a guy who says that he's past the neck injury. But that kind of scares you.
I hope so.
Is that the same guy he knew that had them trading Renardo Green and Ricky Pearsall?
I just don't see Carver Willis being able to come into the NFL and push dudes around when you're playing teams like, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Chiefs.
Hey, man.
No.
You never know.
No.
This
Unless you're a top 10
XFL.
draft pick. No, I don't see Carver Willis out of Washington coming in here and being like, yo, Trent, let's go.
UW like that.
No.
He's playing next to Trent who can help him out.
You know something
play week 1, week 2 against the Saints. You think Carver Willis can't 3 rounds earlier in a better program?
No.
Come on.
Sorry. And then they're talking about Connor Colby. Well, we liked his progress last year. When Spencer Burford took over, it was like, oh, thank God. Oh my God.
At least
thank God he came back.
Oh my God.
Connor Colby was with the mullet was just like, oh my God. He didn't know what was going on. Now, granted, he's in week 2 now, so they're like, oh, okay, cool. He's learned a lot from last season. He might be improved, but Robert Jones is going to be your week 1 starter. It's going to be a toss-up. And I'm sorry, I love Larry Krueger, but Enrique Cruz is not going to be a tight end. They're not going to do that. I know he's athletic.
Play. He's going to be a practice squad guy for 3 years.
I think
like
they
Nick
convert him to a
was.
tight end. I was like, oh, no.
You want him to lose 125 pounds and then
I know,
his
he's a
ability
big
to
tight
catch
end.
the football?
He has Duggar becoming an outside pass rusher.
Well, that can make sense. Put on 20 pounds and you're at 250. You're almost there.
That's like when he said that Garendo should be fullback. The guy can't block.
I mean, Grendo's gotten fullback weight put on now, apparently. So it's like.
All I'll say is, guys, how much traction and clicks did those 2 storylines get? People know what they're doing. The Bernardo Green and the Ricky Pearsall. Like,
you just pick a player the fan base hates and go, they're gonna get traded.
They're gonna get traded.
And everyone's like, really? I got to click on this. What inside
They're gonna trade them at the
have?
draft. And they didn't. They didn't trade either one of them.
Because they're both gonna start to begin the year for the Niners. Shockingly.
And then, it's like, we have Deshaun Stribling, but I'm not sold on him yet. I think he's got great potential. I think they knew how popular he was getting in the draft, and they said, let's just take him now. And they drafted him, and I still think that he's going to be probably wide receiver number 4, number 5, somewhere in there.
Who?
Deshaun Stribling. I mean, I don't see him.
I think Stribling takes over Christian Kirk's spot. I think Kirk becomes wide receiver 4.
I mean, it's possible. It depends on how much they use Kirk.
They're just so different. They're so different.
They're completely different. And look, when you watch the early season highlights and look at the numbers, Ricky Pearsall was having a phenomenal season.
Fantastic.
Until he got hurt. And then that knee never got better. And once he got hurt, their offense was never the same. So I think Pearsall will have a much better season, especially having Mike Evans on the other side. Mike Evans being more of a distraction. I think he's going to have a big breakout year.
For those that hate Ricky Pearsall or think he's a bust, the injuries obviously are a big factor in that. But I will read you Ricky Pearsall's stats through the first 3 weeks of the season. 93.7 yards per game. That was 4th in the entire NFL. 16 receptions. That was tied for 14th. 17.6 yards per reception. That was 5th. 12.2 yards per target. That was 1st. 2.55 yards run per route. That was 11th. And he had 14 first downs. That was tied for 2nd. The dude was balling.
He was.
For 3 weeks to begin the year. And then we all said, or some fans were like, oh my God, he's terrible. He can't do anything. Trade him. It's like, this guy has the best hands on the entire team. He's the best route runner on the entire team. And you want that guy to just go away? Why?
No, I don't.
You can't replace that guy.
I don't want him to go away.
Well, you have to make a decision on him because after this season, it's a fifth-year option. Do you pick it up?
They told you what they thought of him by what they did this offseason.
Well, I think they told
tripled
you that
down on wide receiver.
Yeah. No, it's true, but I think that they're uncertain about his availability. They want to make sure they have somebody there in case he has another injury season.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I don't think the Stribling addition matters to Pearsall. I think the Christian Kirk is like insurance in case Pearsall goes down. Like that's like they don't trust Watkins, they don't trust Cowing. It's like get Christian Kirk in here. He's 32 years old, but he can at least be the Z receiver if Pearsall gets hurt again. Then you have Stribling who can be the X if Evans goes down. It's like they just kind of found themselves adding cushion to a room that doesn't have much top end talent outside of Evans, who's 34, and Pearsall who can't stay healthy.
Speaking of a ton of wide receivers, did you happen to see from Jason Lockenbora that the Niners are one of the teams that could be interested in AJ Brown? And I
don't believe a single thing that guy says.
Like, why? He's like, no.
Do you guys know that Jason Lockenflora was so bad at his job at CBS Sports, somebody created the website that detailed every wrong per source quote or tweet he put out throughout his entire career?
It's got to be a lot.
Like, he was so wrong all the time. He was like the Diana Rossini of making things up about the Philadelphia Eagles and AJ Brown and company. Like, dude was just lying out of his teeth, being like, well, someone told me, and someone was like their mom's, like somebody in their mom's basement, like, oh, I'm writing on my blog, on my Substack.
Look,
it's like,
this is the problem when you start getting attached to scoopers. And this happens in the entertainment world as well, because on my other channel, we cover movie news. It's real bad over there. What's that?
3C Films.
Oh, hey, Chris Parker's a good guy. I know that
we
guy.
love 3C. We love 3C.
There's those people that do that, Dre, that they keep saying, I have sources that the Snyderverse is coming back.
Yeah.
For the last 7 years.
There's guys out there like the Sil Abduls and the Mikey Settons, may he rest in peace, that would just make shit up, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? And so when you got a guy like Jason Lockenflora, same thing. Throw shit out there.
Eventually
going
to be right. Yeah.
And sometimes when there's not any news to talk about, the Niners could be in the running for AJ Brown along with these other teams. And then those fan bases go, are they going to get AJ Brown? No, they're not going to get AJ Brown. And I don't think that the Eagles would trade him to the Niners. Even if the Eagles had a crappy year, they would not say, okay, San Francisco, go ahead and take him from us. No,
they wouldn't.
Yeah, don't they already have a deal in place with the Patriots? Like
that's what everyone keeps saying. That's what everyone keeps saying. And
that's what Dan Orsini was saying.
You never know.
And you know why.
But here's the other thing, too, is that I still believe that going into this offseason, or as we get closer to, now we're in OTAs now, as we get closer to minicamp, you got to bring in Joey Bosa. You got to do it. To me, you can't roll with Sam Okwuonu
you don't want him
and
either,
Romello Height.
No, I don't want him either.
I want him. Because look, here's the thing.
Why?
You won't have Michael Williams at the start of the season. So
maybe
who's your no, you're not. He's not even fucking running right now.
Give me Cam Jordan. Give me Cam Jordan.
Yes. Give me Cam Jordan.
I will take Cam Jordan. Fine. I'm fine with that too. But I think, look, when if you sign this guy late in the offseason, think about the shot in the arm he gives the team. We just signed Joey Bosa. Oh, hell yeah. And then your opponent's
we gave him $15 million to play.
It's not your money. What do you care?
Snaps a game.
It's not your money. It doesn't matter. It's their
fine,
money. They can spend whatever they want.
I don't want the team to allocate ridiculous amount of money to a guy that's not going to play a full season, let
on
alone
a
have
1-year
25
deal,
pressures.
I'm fine with that.
Joey Bosa is not going to beg and bitch about starting and be like, I want to play next to Nick. Like, no.
Dude, the guy had 5 forced fumbles
Who
last
cares?
season.
Who cares?
Who cares? That's 5 fucking turnovers in a season.
You got
That's
Nick Bosa
phenomenal.
back. Michael, you have high.
Imagine that
where's he
with
gonna
Nick
play?
Bosa.
Where's he
Still,
going to play?
Michael has to work his way back in. So who's your every down defensive end? You rather go with Samuel
You don't have
Kawanu?
one.
I'd rather go with Joey Bosa. I'm sorry, I would.
Do you want to pay Joey Bosa $12 million to complain about starting once Michael comes back and then get
But
hurt 8
Michael's
games
not
into his
going
tenure?
he's not going to start. That's the
Michael
problem.
is going to start the minute he comes back. You don't waste the 11th
I don't think
overall
he will.
draft pick on a player and say you're not going to play once you come back. Michael is going to start.
if you have a Joey Bosa, good luck
I
telling
don't care.
Joey.
I know.
Good
I
luck
don't care
telling him,
if you have
hey,
Joey
we
Bosa.
got Michael back.
That's the
He had a
reason. That's
subpar
why you
season.
don't
Worth-
trade Joey Bosa.
He's not worth the money that he expects to be paid. I'm
He
sorry.
hasn't had 25 pressures and 5+ sacks in 5 seasons.
He's just a name.
And he's
He's
brittle. Last year's team is old and they're ailing in the electrical substation. Bringing the guy who literally should not even breathe without a cast on his legs.
But then you want Cam Jordan, who's also hella old. He's older than
Cam
Bosa
Jordan's
is.
never hurt.
He's
just
never
never
hurt. I'll
hurt.
give you that. But look, I still think at the end of the day that you got to bring somebody in. You have to bolster that defensive end position. If Michael was ready to go week 1, week 2, I think, hey, I think we're good. But the problem is that you're going to start off the season in Melbourne against the Rams. You have to have an elite pass rush. You have to bolster a defensive line going into week 1. You can't wait on it and say, well, should we go out and get an edge rusher? Well, we can wait because we do have the Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins, and by week 4, maybe we'll see where we're at. I think
they'll have somebody in the building. I just at this point in the offseason, there isn't anybody
Cam
elite.
Sample.
There's not anybody elite out there that you
Don't
could
sleep.
honestly say is going to be the difference maker. I feel like
mean,
if they can bring in
Joey
a guy like
Bosa.
Cam, bring in
He's
Cam
not
Jordan,
Joey
bring in
Bosa.
Cam Jordan, you're going to get at least about 8 sacks, maybe. Solid guy.
Even
Doesn't
if
get
you
hurt.
get 5, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 would
Joey
be like,
Bosa's not getting you
yes!
5 sacks.
He might.
No.
They're going to run towards his side more often.
Because nobody wants us anybody
we
running
need
towards
Robert Beal
Romello
back.
Height.
Oh my god.
Look at see if Miami
Romello Height is not an every down defensive end. He's a third down pass rusher.
He is.
Yeah.
He's
He's
small.
Bryce Huff. Yeah.
He's D
He's
Ford.
Bryce Huff. D Ford. But a little slimmer. He's got to put on some more weight, according to Donte Whitner. So
Yeah, Donte
Well,
Whitner thinks he's a
Speaking
little
of
light.
Donte Whitner, what a great segue to get into our next segment of the show.
Yeah.
yes.
Now, we'll make this pretty quick. I don't think we should spend too much time on it, but as we all know at this point in time, Donte Whitner hates Ji'Ayir Brown and never wants him to play for the San Francisco 49ers again.
Can't blame him.
No, I kid. But Donte Whitner and Ji'Ayir Brown have been beefing back and forth. The reports out there of Donte Whitner criticizing Ji'Ayir Brown calling up Donte Whitner, kind of checking him and everything. Which has been very one-sided as to where the news is coming from. It's coming from Donte Whitner. Ji'Ayir Brown hasn't said much. There's been some Instagram posts, some posts on their stories of Malik Mustafa and Ji'Ayir Brown kind of clapping back, if you will, at what Donte Whitner said. But I'll just say this. Initially, I was very against Ji'Ayir Brown in this case of like, what you expect to happen? Donte Whitner, he's a very respected player in the organization. Ji'Ayir Brown shouldn't be thinking he's a Pro Bowl talent and everything. But did you guys happen to see or hear what Donte Whitner said today about Ji'Ayir Brown and company?
I do. I have it up right now.
Okay, let me bring it up because it's
You have it?
if you can share your screen, Dre, quickly, I'll bring it up and put it on here for us. But
I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
it to me did change my thoughts on it. So Dre, go ahead and read things off if you will.
Let's see here. It says, I asked him, I said, Ji'Ayir,
Ji'Ayir,
Ji'Ayir, can you come on the podcast so you can debate your proposition or why you feel the way you do? He said, no, I don't like to talk. I said, okay, then can I tell you, okay, then can I tell my podcast listeners about you calling me? He said, no, don't tell them. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling them. Don't you ever call my phone and think you're checking me. Now, if you have a valid point, I'm willing to listen to it, But if you play shit like shit and I analyze it, I'm going to continue to analyze it that way. When you play well, I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to give you all the praise in the world. When you play like shit, I'm going to tell you you played like shit. I hope this is the one you wanted me to read.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
And it's like I was on Donte's side for a lot of it. Like, yeah, like Ji'Ayir he's sounding a little delusional, saying he's a Pro Bowl talent. Maybe he's overconfident. It leads to questions of, are you a coachable player? Do you think your crap don't stink too much? Like, is there an open mind behind the eyes and ears of Ji'Ayir Brown? But then I saw this and I went, oh, Donte Whitner's crazy. Like,
what did you think was going to happen? Do you think he's going to be like, hey,
what is
man,
this?
You're right.
Like the first sentence that Donte Whitner says in this quote is, I asked Ji'Ayir, do you want to come on my podcast and essentially debate me about your play? Why would you want Ji'Ayir Brown and a contractor to come on the show and debate a former player when he should be out there practicing, watching tape, and getting better at his craft? You think the Niners are going to like that from him? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go debate Donte Whitner on his podcast because he talked crap about me. Why? That's a terrible look for Ji'Ayir to do that. Now, I think Ji'Ayir did the right thing. He called Donte up and told him, hey, man, like, knock it off. But Donte's response is like, I'm going to tell everybody about what you just did. And Ji'Ayir's like, why? What is the point of that? And Donte's like, because F you, that's why. Because the content comes first. And I do think the content, yes, what did Ji'Ayir expect? But Ji'Ayir expects a near 40-year-old man, a 40-year-old man to have a little more respect for a 27-year-old player. And maybe he isn't playing well, but also like, hey, man, you can criticize me, but the content shouldn't be the thing that's leading you in all of your conversations you're going to have. Because my God, the first sentence should not be, come on the podcast and debate me about your play. Why? What does Ji'Ayir Brown owe Donte Whitner? Nothing at all. So why would Ji'Ayir ever do that?
But was that other phone call that they talked about prior to this one, or is it the same one?
Probably the same one.
I think it's the same one. Same one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an issue with Donte.
I don't either.
I have zero issue with this because I feel like some people need to be checked.
Sure.
And I'm glad somebody called him out on how bad he was playing last year, because now it's in his mind that there's people out here, especially like us or guys like Donte, that think he suck. Maybe that motivates him.
I hope it does. When you play like shit for 2 consecutive seasons, I mean, how many times did we see Saleh bring down Ji'Ayir Brown and have him blitz and just get stood up by a running back? Like nothing. Just like, oh, God, that was a waste. And it's like, you're an NFL player. Okay, so you can expect to get the smoke when you play like shit, right?
Yep.
But just then when you call a guy like Donte Whitner and you say, hey, man, stop talking shit about me. Don't do that. If you don't have a built-in relationship with this individual, why do you think he would say, oh, yeah, man, my bad. Don't worry about it. I won't say no, fuck that. This guy has become a media, what do you call it? A media personality. He was on the Niners postgame show on NBC Sports for a number of years, and now he does the Grit Code podcast with Rod Brooks, Patrick Willis. And look, everyone's saying, well, he went to Richard Sherman, and Sherman didn't say anything. Well, Richard Sherman has a bigger platform.
Yep.
Richard Sherman doesn't just focus on the Niners. Richard Sherman focuses on the entire NFL.
Yep.
So he's not going to sit there and get locked into a debate with Ji'Ayir Brown. Now, if Christian McCaffrey called him and talked shit to him, that's a little different because that's a premier player. That's something that's at his level.
That's proven that he's great.
But the difference is, if Ji'Ayir called Richard Sherman up, just simply based on what we know of Donte and Sherman will have that conversation respectfully. He may tell Ji'Ayir, whoa. Like, I'm only trying to help you, man. Like, let's do film study together. Donte doesn't even broach that topic until it gets in the podcast 2 episodes later. I'll be your safeties coach. Do you think Ji'Ayir Brown wants you to be his safeties coach?
No.
Yeah,
not
but
at all.
But I do think Ji'Ayir would be open to getting Sherman's knowledge.
what if if he popped off on Sherman and disrespected Sherman, I think Sherman would say something about him too.
Where's the disrespect though? Now, I think Ji'Ayir shouldn't have called Donte up and been like, "Hey,
you can't be soft, man.
Stop doing that stuff to me."
That's the generation.
But
Thank you.
Look,
Thank you, Aaron.
I don't think this is a generational problem. I think this is a Richard
do.
Sherman and
It
Donte
is.
Whitner difference.
It is a
is.
I think it is a generational problem.
But it's not though, because Ji'Ayir Brown's not playing good football. That is its own thing. He's not playing good. He hasn't been good for 2 years. He gets criticized for it. Is he being soft by telling Whitner to knock it off? Sure.
Yes.
You play in the NFL, you're playing poorly, you're open to criticism. But that doesn't make what Donte Whitner did right either, of being like, well, come on the podcast, because it shows your intention. Your intention is to only make content from me as a player, and I'm not your content hub. I'm a 26-year-old, 27-year-old safety in the last year of my deal trying to get right. Now, whether Ji'Ayir thinks he's top 5 safety in football, that's a whole different discussion because he's entirely wrong. But the fact is, Donte was not utilizing or discussing with Ji'Ayir with good intentions. Everything he's mentioned is, come on the podcast. I'll be your coach after the fact. Don't check me. I'm going to check you. Shut the F up type of thing. It's like Ji'Ayir, yes, is being too thin-skinned when it comes to criticism from Donte Whitner. But Donte's intentions are not pure either. He led a private conversation out, which he probably shouldn't have done. Like, imagine how many other young NFL stars have called veteran people and been like, hey, man, like, why are you talking so much about me? And that can be a respectful conversation behind the scenes that I'm sure Ji'Ayir and Richard Sherman have. Like, Sherman has his own podcast. He's not just on Amazon Prime. Sherman could have flamed the you-know-what out of Ji'Ayir. But he didn't do that. Why?
He still might.
Because the intention was not to make a podcast or content from Ji'Ayir Brown's struggles and put him on blast. Donte was waiting for this to happen. The first sentence of this quote is, come on the podcast. Well, why? Because you don't want to have this nice debate. You want to make content from me. Mm-hmm. Why would Ji'Ayir respect that at all? I know I wouldn't. No way.
At the end of it, I'm at the point now with content creating where nobody does anything in good faith and everybody's out to get clicks. And at this point, I don't really, with the amount of people that are out there that make rage bait and grifter content, if he wants to, at least he's been consistent with the type of content he does, Donte. He's kind of a hard ass. He doesn't speak nicely of players. Like he comes at you with a lot of guff and a lot of attitude. And Sherman you're right. He's definitely comes at things more professional. He's also an eloquent speaker who went to, Stanford, and he's a very educated guy. He just approaches things differently. I think Dante's just being Donte, and he's being true to who he is.
Look,
he could have handled it differently, but if a guy's going to call you and tell you to not, and we don't know the tone that Ji'Ayir gave to him when he told him not to talk.
100%.
He could have been like, man, talk about, kind of disrespect him because he's a lot older. He should respect his elders. And maybe this tone set him off. Maybe it was, trust me, I have people in my own family that I don't talk to anymore because their tone is disrespectful. So I understand that part. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, it's May. I'm sure we won't be talking about this in September.
Yeah, but
God, I hope not.
Still, I mean, oh my God. Still, to call Donte Whitner and to calmly, let's just pretend, calmly say, hey, please don't talk bad about me anymore. Donte Whitner and his platform is the kind of guy that you just ignore if you're an NFL player. 100%. Why you went to him is ridiculous. Richard Sherman, he's on Amazon Prime for the Thursday night football. He's on that cast. You know what I mean? He's got a much bigger platform. And I know because when he starts producing content and you post his videos, they get a ton of traction. Everyone loves to hear Richard Sherman's point of view. So I get why Sherman didn't say anything, because, I mean, it's like, whatever. But why you took Whitner and put him on the same pedestal as Richard Sherman is beyond me. And to think that he was going to listen to what you said and essentially obey what you said is crazy. He has no respect for you. You haven't played well in 2 years. You made some great plays last season. Don't get me wrong.
You should be open to any type of advice.
This is the kind of career. If you're Ji'Ayir Brown, you're saying last 2 seasons I did not play very well. I don't have much of a leg to stand on. I'm not going to go on the defensive. I'm just going to prove it on the field. But instead, he decided to do this. Probably didn't think that Whitner would say anything, and that sort of bit him in the ass. So
but that's what makes it worse, though, is that Ji'Ayir did it privately. Ji'Ayir didn't want the media attention. He didn't have a podcast. He didn't go on a show and discuss this. He did the right thing if he was going to broach the topic. He called Donte up, man to man. Whether he should have said, stop talking about me or not, I think we would all say, you need to be a little more thick-skinned there, Ji'Ayir. But the fact that he made that a private conversation, didn't put it on social media, which superstars nowadays would, NFL players nowadays would, he didn't do that. He went to him man-to-man and said, hey, man, like, chill. Now, that tone could have been harsher than that. Fine. But the fact that Donte immediately took that and said, F it. I'm going to my podcast, and I'm doing not 1, but 2 episodes on this, shows you the intention behind it. Donte, and look, I love Donte Whitner. I love the Grit Code podcast. It's a fun show, great memories. We all love the Harbaugh era here on the show. But, like, the fact is that Donte's intentions were not pure. It was to get content out of Ji'Ayir Brown. Ji'Ayir Brown didn't want content from Donte Whitner. Yep. And Ji'Ayir, rightfully so, has no reason to listen to Donte Whitner. He's not in the room. He's not a coach. He's not part of the organization. You don't hear other cornerbacks going to Nate Clements and Walt Harris and Ahmed Plummer of like, oh, I respect those guys a ton. Ji'Ayir Brown was like 10 years old living in Pennsylvania when Donte Whitner was playing in San Francisco. So who cares?
What about
the relationship there?
What about when LeBron took Stephen A aside about talking bad about his boy, and then Stephen A would run on the air and was like, "Listen, I do this for a living. Like,
that's different though, because
you're not going to stop what I'm going to say."
LeBron James did that publicly before a Los Angeles Lakers game where the entire world could see him doing it.
That's true.
Ji'Ayir made a private phone call behind the scenes and try to check Donte. This was a private call. It's no different than me calling you up behind the scenes being Aaron, I'm tired about the damn injury. Stop bringing it up on the show. It's the same thing.
Dre did that to me in the chat, the DMs.
But like that's a private conversation that doesn't have to be out there. Whereas Donte made it a point to make this public and flame Ji'Ayir further, knowing that heat's already on Ji'Ayir because of his struggles.
I understand both arguments. I understand both arguments, but I'm like Dre. I just, man, I don't know. I'd be willing to take any advice possible.
I don't think this is a debate of like, well, Ji'Ayir Brown's a bitch for doing what he did because Donte's a hard-nosed SOB who doesn't mind getting his hands dirty.
I think, okay, look at it this way. If you do this kind of thing to like an Emmanuel Acho, right? Acho was not a Pro Bowl, an elite safety. He'd be more willing to be like, yeah, he'd be more willing to talk to you about it. Like, oh, yeah, man, hey, look, I know the struggles. Him going to Donte immediately, Donte was like, I'm a fucking all-pro. I've been to multiple Pro Bowls. I've been to Super Bowls, even though Ji'Ayir Brown's was one too, and he got an interception. And he's like, you have no right to call me and try and put me on check when I had a much superior career than you did. And I think that's where he's coming from. You know, you got guys out there, and look, you got guys out there right now. Fake Ricky Pearsall trying to get clicks off of that. A network trying to generate clicks off of a clip. Ian Williams replying to it. Remember Ian Williams? God.
Yes.
And so even that, like you have that happening on the other end. So look, at the end of the day,
yeah, but
don't call content creators and tell them to stop talking shit about you. Look at Javon Kinlaw. Did that work out? Nobody gave a shit. It was so stupid.
Say what you want about what you think of the platform.
Still there. He's still in the he's still in the facility. It was like, come on, man, what are we doing here?
What
I mean, to be fair, Javon Kinlaw was eating squirrels in the forest once, so maybe we shouldn't compare the two.
Listen, I don't
know me. I was like,
I don't respect the way a guy like who does this content. It's very grifty, very kind of like, I'm going to get a reaction out of people because I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people still watch his crap, and he gets a lot of views and he makes a good living off of it. I might not like it. A lot of people might not like it, but that's his content style, and that's what people like from him, and they go to watch. Same thing with Donte. I think Donte has a certain level of kind of like a no nonsense. I'm going to talk my ass. I'm a little bit more hard nosed.
Now he's going to say whatever he wants. What he couldn't say on NBC Sports Bay Area, now he's like, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want now.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons they got rid of him off of NBC Sports Area. They didn't like the way he approached things. He wasn't too friendly.
To add context to this, Ji'Ayir Brown's going into year 4. Donte Whitner didn't make his first Pro Bowl until year 7. So,
right situation though. Exactly.
It's right. It's not like there isn't room to grow.
Right. No, I agree. But I think Donte had a way better attitude. At least we would think he did. I mean, it just comes off like a guy that.
I mean, we don't know that. I mean, I don't know Donte Whitner personally, and I would never attack Donte personally. I love Donte Whitner as a player. Yeah, I have sources.
Trust me.
I just think like Ji'Ayir should be more thick-skinned. Probably should have ignored what Donte was saying. And the minute Ji'Ayir called Donte shouldn't have run to his podcast and blasted him on social media and made multiple shows and posts about him, because it does bring negative light to a player that already has enough on him simply based off his poor play, and knowing that the odds are Ji'Ayir's not going to be here next year if he plays this bad again. He'll go elsewhere and be the third bust of that trio of third-round draft picks in 2021 or 23 with Jake Moody and Cam Latu. So it's just like, I just don't. It's a really awkward situation, and I think both sides are wrong. Ji'Ayir's a little delusional, and Donte should be maybe a little more forgiving in some cases.
I grew up on a time in the era that I grew up in where everybody talks shit about everybody.
Yeah.
Whether behind your back or to your face. You could ask my brother, you can ask anybody. You just kind of sucked it up, dude, because if you didn't and you cried about it, you were going to be labeled a bitch. And so I'm just from the generation of, do I agree that he took a personal conversation? Do I think he should have done that? No. But at the same time, dude, if somebody comes at you and criticizes you and you respond by saying, don't say mean things about me, don't say words, it's freaking weak.
Well, on top of that, he's like, I don't do podcasts. He was just on the podcast with what's his name, Ari Marov.
Ari Marov,
yeah, he was just on with that guy sitting by the pool,
because he's saying nice things about him.
I know, and so again, he did want to go on there. Why? Because then he'd have to answer for his play the past 2 seasons.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to do that.
Do either one of you want to go on a hostile podcast and have to defend yourself 24/7 from a guy coming at you? I wouldn't.
If I'm going to call the guy to tell him to stop talking shit about me, I would expect him to say, "What'd you come on my podcast then?" And then of course I would say yes or no.
No, because why would I give you content on my name?
Well, exactly. But you already did when you made the phone call. At that point, it's already over. You've already made the call. When you reach out and try to make a statement to a content creator that makes controversial content, that's the worst thing you can do. Because here's the thing. Every time you have a content creator that can be a harsh critic on certain aspects or certain players, they want nothing more than for that player or that coach or whoever to reach out to them and try and get a hold of the situation, because then it draws attention to their platform. I see it all the time. And
you would think Donte, being a former NFL athlete, would have maybe more in common and an understanding of where Ji'Ayir is coming from, because Donte wasn't a Pro Bowl player his first 4 years in the NFL. Neither has Ji'Ayir by a wide margin.
Yeah.
And while Ji'Ayir has to get better, Donte doesn't seem to be looking at Ji'Ayir from the lens of a former or current NFL player, a compatriot. He's looking at him as, you're a dog shit safety, and I'm trying to fix your career. And Jair's like, I don't even know you, bro. I'm not asking for your help. You're just coming at me nonstop. I don't even know who you are. Like,
yeah, but the way I look at it is if you're talking, I don't know, like if you're on a podcast and you are making content and you're speaking out loud and your content is the way, like Jerry said, controversial, and you happen to get one of your boys happens to catch wind of somebody saying bad things about you on a podcast that you know is very like upfront and just says whatever, and you're like, man, I gotta check this guy. He can't be saying mean things about me on his mean podcast where he always says mean things about people. And you go tell him, don't say mean things. Guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna say mean things.
Yeah, but I don't think Donte doesn't realize he's saying mean things. Donte views it as
he doesn't care.
I'm just being right, but also I think Donte views it as I'm just keeping it straight.
I think Donte would say the same thing about him in a closed room.
I agree, but the point is that Ji'Ayir maybe isn't that type of guy. Ji'Ayir feels rather mild-mannered. Maybe he's overconfident. Ji'Ayir's not someone to pull up on you and start causing a problem. Ji'Ayir seems like somebody who's like, hey, let's handle it behind the scenes. It doesn't need to be out there in public.
True.
Like I'm that way too. Like a lot of people have no problems in public fighting with their families, fighting with their wives or husbands. If me and my wife are going to have a problem, we're going to go into a private room, talk about it, and we're going to walk out and be okay. Like,
true. I agree with that.
We're not going to fight out of the house. If we are outside, we're going to go to the car and have a conversation, then come back in and join the party again. Like, that's how I do things.
Right.
And I think Ji'Ayir Brown's the same way. He didn't want to go on social media and call out Donte Whitner because why would you do that? He wants to have a conversation behind closed doors, man to man. Hey, let's just chat things out, man. Like, let's talk things out. Donte came from what it seems like to be from the angle of like, it doesn't matter what you say. This is content no matter what. And that to me kind of devalues the human contact you're making of a young man trying to make his way in the NFL while still trying to keep it real on your podcast. You can criticize Ji'Ayir all you want. You can tell Ji'Ayir, hey man, look, like I want the best for you. That's why I'm criticizing you. And I'd love to be in that room with you and chat you up and talk to you. And maybe Donte did and Ji'Ayir said, F no, I don't want that. But we'll never know because Ji'Ayir's not going to talk about it again. Because Ji'Ayir's like, I tried that. It didn't work. I'm just going to go do me and you can go do you. Yeah. And it's like, it's like Donte really messed this up, in my opinion.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're both at fault.
And keeping it real goes wrong. Dave Chappelle.
It's like when he knocks over the glass of water. He's like, oops, gotcha. Love it. One final topic, and then we'll get out of here. We spent a lot of time on the Ji'Ayir Brown stuff. Did you guys happen to hear what Matt Mayoko said about Mac Jones earlier this week?
He's going to be here a long time, apparently.
Yeah, this caught me off guard.
I don't believe that's going to be the case, but
let's pull this up really fast because we obviously disagree with Aaron. But let's bring up what Matt Mayoko had to say quickly here. Because Mayoko on his podcast, on his YouTube channel, was discussing the future of Mac Jones. And quite frankly, I think we all kind of said, huh? That doesn't make any sense.
What up, man?
Here is Mayoko discussing the future of Mac Jones.
Although, I must say, I'm not 100% convinced that Mac Jones will be signing somewhere else at the end of this season. I think remains a decent chance that Mac Jones is back with the 49ers as kind of a long-term backup player because I'm not totally convinced that a team would be willing to pay him starters money even in 2027. It sounds like there wasn't much discussion at all as far as trading. And there will be teams, obviously, that will be looking for quarterbacks a year from now, whether in the draft where it's supposed to be. At least the early thought is that it'll be a better draft for quarterbacks next year. And teams might be looking for that placeholder kind of guy, that Kirk Cousins type of player who can fit in, be a starter if needed, while a team drafts a guy to eventually take over. Although,
alrighty, guys, Mac Jones here for the long haul. Aaron, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if Brock is the guy, and the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era continues to go on for many more years, one thing I think teams that have a guy who they think is the guy in place and a team that you think is competitive, you always want to have that backup quarterback in the room that can manage and kind of, drive the bus, so to speak, when the starter isn't out. And I think maybe that for years that they were trying to look for that guy and they just weren't able to find him. And they finally found it in Mac Jones. And they saw how valuable he was last year when Brock missed so much time. And if they got an offer that just like blew their socks off, I think they would make a move and maybe the Curtis Rourke era would begin. But I don't think they're in any particular rush to do it. And if it's an affordable thing to do, I really don't have a problem with it. I really don't. That's it.
I think in a
Dre?
perfect world, they would love to have Mac Jones as their backup quarterback for the next few years. I think it is possible, but you're not going to get him at the rate that you're paying him now. I think if he's going to stay here, you're going to have to pay him more money. And I think that after this season, he's going to want a pay raise. He's not going to want to sit on the bench and make $4 million for the next 2 years. No. I think after this season, he's gone. He'll go somewhere else, and some other team will give him an opportunity. May it be the Raiders, maybe whoever. If Mendoza doesn't work out, I'm just spitballing right now, but
Yeesh, that would be bad.
that'd be bad. But I'm just saying, like, I think that if Tua or Penix isn't really the answer, they could go that route as well. Could he stay here long term? Possibly. I just don't see it being a reality, and I think that after the season, he'll likely part ways. I mean, look, even Brian Robinson, a lot of us were like, I think they're going to bring him back, and he left for nothing, $3 million. They weren't convinced that he was the right option on this offense. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I'll just say inflating contracts coming up: Trent, McCaffrey, Purdy, Kittle, Warner. I don't think San Francisco, who has $69 million in current cap space, wants to allocate 10, 15, 20, $25 million per year to a backup quarterback.
Right.
Unless Mac Jones is willing to play for much cheaper and not start as much. Now, maybe he is, and I don't know why, but if you're Mac Jones representation, you're looking at this offseason as your moneymaker, as maybe your only time to get a massive contract, get a starting job, and maximize your value. So I don't know if Mayoka was told that by somebody. I'm sure San Francisco would love to keep Mac Jones. Who wouldn't love to keep Mac Jones as your backup after what he did last year? But the odds would certainly say that Mac Jones will be playing elsewhere in 2026 or 27, excuse me. And likely we'll find a spot on the Pittsburgh Steelers, maybe the Arizona Cardinals, or elsewhere next year. So San Francisco didn't trade him because they can get that compensation pick too in 2 years. So it kind of feels like that this may be hearsay or just Mayoka spitballing, but the likelihood is pretty much slim to none. Yeah. That said, we are 2 hours into the show. We got to go. We got a weekend to kick off. I got work the next 2 days. My wife, I'm sure in the next 15 minutes, is going to say, honey, where are you? I'm going to say, I'm at the house. I'm sorry. I got caught up talking ball with the boys. That said, Dre, Aaron, always a pleasure. If everybody could in the YouTube chat, maybe on X, wherever you're watching on Facebook, like, share, and subscribe to the show, to all three channels, to Ji'Ayir Sports, to 49ers First Takes, and right here on 49ers Access. You can follow us on social media, whether it is X, Facebook, YouTube, maybe it's Threads or elsewhere. Ji'Ayir Sports is, I'm pretty sure, the common handle. 49ers First Takes is the common handle for Twitter and TikTok. And mine is just 49ers Access. It'd be a great thing to follow us on all those platforms. Talk ball with us, chat us up, DM us. We're always open for some more conversation about the San Francisco 49ers. You can drop your thoughts down below on the show on Ji'Ayir Brown, on San Francisco's schedule. Is Donte Whitner in the wrong, or is he in the right? And where do you think San Francisco finishes in 2026? I think Dre had them being 11-6, along with myself. Aaron had them being 12-5. Mr. Positivity down there. But as always, for Aaron, for Dre, my name is Sterling Bennett. This has been the Cover 3 Podcast. And as always, until next time, stay faithful.